Let's make sure we're live here. Make sure we're live on the Facebook and all that. Okay, we are good. We are good to go, sir. Oh my goodness. Couple billionaires on the camera tonight.
Let's go.
Man, we're talking about how to bank your first $100,000. One of the toughest things a lot of individuals run into, whether they're in sales or maybe they're not in sales and they're tuning into this. That's ultimately, that was my first, target. My first goal was that $100,000. There's a lot of difficulties that folks run into when really storing away $100,000, maintaining that discipline, right? Because that's what it all really boils down to, is maintaining discipline to actually hold on to that money instead of like increase your living, right? Increase your expenses, right? Because once people start getting money, man, I tell you, like I see it all the time. I'm sure you see it all the time as well, Alec. They get some money, they're like, man, I'm the hot shot, I'm the big baller. They turn into like a pretender spender. They turn into a premature baller. I've even been there before, and
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. It's we see it. It's so often, like they get some money, they make more money than they have ever made, and they're like, man, I got so much money. This feels great. And maybe they're 1099. They forget about taxes. Maybe they're not 1099, but they get taxes taken out, and they have all this money, and they're like, oh yeah, let's new car, new apartment, new condo, new clothes. Whereas like dude, literally, like once you start increasing your income, one of the most important things to bank that first 100K is like remaining at the same living style, or like the same expenses. Like don't increase your living, right? It's huge.
It's a nice suit jacket.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I like that one. Yeah, I think it's I mean, it took me, I was in the right vehicle, but because you can go up real quick, and then as quick as you make the money, you can spend it, right? And I think that's real. I think that's real discipline, because you have the money. I mean, you don't have to work. You don't have to financially, right? Your bills will be paid regardless, but are you putting in the work that got you there, even though you have 50, 60, and even when you get closer, 60, 80, do you fall off? Do you get involved in the right things? But I think just if you attach it to a bigger purpose, as long as you do that, you'll keep going. If you don't, you'll find ways to just like keep playing at that level. So you gotta have.
That's a key word that you just mentioned there, purpose, right? Because as you said, like you can get $100,000 and you can just keep cruising. You can just keep cruising along. That $100,000, man. If you have that in the bank account, like you're definitely going to get comfortable.
I mean, if you're from a small city and you got $100K in the bank, like, you're a big fish in a small pond. You kind of did something, but it's up to you to recognize and reflect of, okay, what did I do here? Now maybe I need to graduate from salesperson, okay, and level up to business owner, leader, and start taking on more responsibility.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's like depending where you live, right? Like how far is that 100,000? Like you really need to do the math. Like how far is that $100,000 even going to take you?
Right.
Like that's literally like I like to call like peasant money, or like chump change. Like that's literally like nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Like, are you just thinking about yourself, or like are you thinking about anyone else? Like how selfish are you going to be thinking $100,000 is a sufficient amount of income?
Move to a city, anywhere, Miami, New York, with 100K, and then see how safe you feel.
There's no security in it whatsoever.
Absolutely not. Nope.
And it kind of stems into like a bigger talking point of like $1 million, right? Like everyone's like, it's a little off topic, but everyone's always like, oh, $1 million, $1 million, and I'm financially free. Like, come on, just do the math, right? It's really like, so this first $100,000, like how do people get there? Like for me personally, I was literally living like so frugal, so broke. Like I was literally like putting money only towards my business and personal development. I wasn't investing into like any investment vehicles or assets. It was literally all back into my business or back into myself, personal development, right? Two of the most important investments that we can make.
Mhm.
And living like I was broke, staying broke, living like I was broke, not spending my money on materialistic items, or not spending money on $150 dinners that maybe I can do right now, right? I know you've been to some of those dinners as well. We spend like $400, $500 on a dinner, but it's like, how do you get there, right? It's by staying as frugal as possible,
Yep.
literally just frugal, right? Anyone can make the money. You're going to make $100,000 one way or another, but it's like, man, how do you hold on to it?
Yep.
How do you stay disciplined enough to hold on to that?
Yep. And I mean, having to purchase, I mean, for me, I mean, it took me, forever because I had a decent income, but the discipline definitely wavered, the financial discipline. So, but if you can attach it to like, okay, well, why do you want 100K? You have to understand why
Mm.
you want 100K. Because I mean, you don't want it just in the bank. You want that money to work for you. Which brings me to the next point: is look, like life gets easier once you just put into discipline, stay the course, get some kind of financial foundation, and it gets easier. You can work a little smarter. You can start leveraging the money, and then a lot of doors just open up for you after that. But you got to stay the course. You got to do the mundane, early nights or early
Mm.
mornings, like the mundane every day, and you kind of got to fall in love with that process. And it's not about doing it for a week, it's not about doing it for a month. And that's where real does anyone can do it for a month. I mean, we've
Mm.
seen countless people come into any industry, and they have a good month, and then they go back down, and then they kind of but then they never really build that financial discipline.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point that you bring up. Like it gets to a point where banking your first 100K, like it's going to be boring. Like banking $1 million is going to be boring. It's just doing the same things.
Mhm.
And that's what people can't really grasp, is that they can't stay focused, disciplined, and consistent on doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, repeating those successful actions that they're already having,
Yep.
so they can get the same results and just ride it till that first 100,000, that first $250,000, that first $1 million. Whereas like we as human beings, like I get bored, everyone gets bored. So when we get bored, our money gets bored as well. We have money in the bank that we're able to easily access, and then simply we just go start spending it on depreciating items or assets, whatever it might be, materialistic things, increasing our living expenditure, right? So like you said, like early mornings, early nights, just staying the course.
Mhm.
Anyone can do it for 2 months, 3 months, a year. But how are you going to stick in it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
Right?
How do you even get
Success is boring.
how do you even get started? Because I mean, I know when you first started, like when I jumped in the industry, all my old friends are gone, all that influence. I wasn't around people who told me, after I had a decent week, I was doing good. I was by myself and I was listening to the right information to help me stay the course. Because if you just hop in a vehicle, make some money around the wrong people, that money is just it's gonna go in the door, out the door. So you gotta, I want to be around people. If I say I got 100K, that's it. Like,
Mm,
oh, you should,
mm.
have a quarter million, half a million, a million. Like, if you don't have people around you like that, you're not going to bank your first 100K, because they're going to sit there and
Mm.
pat you on the back for doing, a portion of what you're actually capable of.
Yeah. You know, as you said earlier, tying it back to like purpose and intention, goals, targets, like what are you looking to do? What's the purpose of what you're doing? Because if you don't have that high enough purpose of like, for me, it's like, I don't just want to help myself. I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to support, I want to do all these great things, right? I want to, give back $10 million a month to all these different entities, right? So if you don't have that big enough purpose, then you're simply going to be like, oh, $100,000, like you said, pat yourself on the back. And then
Right.
also, if you're thinking that way, more than likely you have similar individuals around you in your circle that are thinking the same way. Oh,
Yep.
$100,000, that's great. You're doing great. Let's have some fun now. Let's
And
go out. Let's travel.
they don't even know what big is. They don't even know what thinking big is. What's big to them is not even a slither of like what's out there in the world, little vacations, little trips, little dinners. Like, you gotta think bigger. It's a big world. There's a lot you can do, and it takes money. You want to go to Dubai, wherever, Cozumel, Cabo, all the spots. Let's take 100K for example. If you want to go do that, you damn near do that for 2 months. Your money's gone. So that's no money. And you just gotta be around the right people who are going to tell you the truth. I read a book once, Matt Monero, but it's the false positive thing. Is people get a little bit of security, a little bit of a blanket, and they just start telling themselves everything's right in the office or whatever, on the phones. The work ethic, it drops off, right? They're not working as hard. And it can even get like that, like I said, if you got 20, 30K, I mean, it can, if you never had 20 or $30,000 in a bank account, if it's not attached to a purpose, your work ethic can drop off. False positive.
It's a big point right there. False positives. Believing that you're doing a lot better than you truly are. Not realizing your full potential, your full capabilities, what you're really capable of doing. And it really stems to environment, surroundings, like where do you live, right? Stemming back to what you said earlier, biggest fish in a small pond. I have one of my partners in my organization that, came from a normal 9-to-5 job. He was making, I don't even know, 500, 750 bucks a week. And he just, created $10,000 of revenue in the insurance industry that I'm currently in and you're currently in. And it's like, man, he was like, if I was back to where I lived, which was like Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from, he was like, man, I would feel like I'm a top dog, right? I'm a top G, or he said like I would feel like I'm doing so well, whereas like he's currently here in Miami, where I'm at, where you're kind of closely located to, and he feels like nothing, right? So it's like that it really all stems like, man, who are you surrounding yourself with, the environment that you're in as well. And then also breaking down the numbers, like, man, where is this 100K going to actually take me? Right. You can go on a couple vacations, boom, that's gone in a couple months, depending where you go, where you stay. It's just like you said, a false belief, total false belief of like, man, this is enough, right? And it stems from that false belief system as well, like how we were raised, the ideology and the data and the information that we were ingrained with, of like, oh, $100,000 a year is good.
Yep.
Right?
Is it?
Yeah. Man, I can't even fathom that. Like $100,000 a year. Like, who are you going to be able to support besides yourself? Who are you going to be able to give back to and really make a difference?
I see it with, dude, I see it all the time. I say if you start making any kind of income, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20K a month, you need to start going to events. You need to start meeting new people, because otherwise, I'm telling you, you're just going to go, you're going to find a way. If you're around the same people who are making less money than you, who deep down kind of, I don't want to say envy, but deep down, they don't want you to keep going up. They just don't, because as a human being, they know they're capable of the same thing. So it kind of kills them when they see you, doing better. You got to get around new people. I want people who are spending 50K to go to an event, 50K to sit down with someone, putting $100,000 in a real estate investment, and then they got another 50K coming, 100K coming. Like, how to bank your first 100 is the first step. But ultimately, it goes back to growing your active income, putting it back in the business. How do you make 100K a month? Because to figure out the how, you'll figure that out, but you got to know why.
Yeah, you'll never figure out the how if you don't know the why. It's a great point. And thinking about talking about active income, right? Like you're never going to get to a point where you can actually bank 100,000 if your active income, like that earned income, isn't at a level where you can actually bank away $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're making, man, it's such a misnomer. Like you're making $5,000 a month, your living expenses are going to chop at least half of that: rent, car insurance, all that stuff.
50,
You're left with like $2,000 maybe a month if you're making 5K. Like what's the average income of a United States citizen?
It's like 50, 55.
Average income in the U.S. back in 2019. I guess that's the most up-to-date Google thing I can find.
But wages haven't gone up. That's pretty accurate. That'd be pretty accurate.
Yeah. $31,000.
People's incomes have not. The cost of living has gone up. What was it?
$31,000. Annual household income in the U.S. between 35 to 50 is 10.6%. 50,000 to 75,000, 16.2%. 75,000 to 100,000, 12.3%. 100,000 to 150,000, it just keeps getting slimmer and slimmer.
More. Yep. It's crazy to me because, man, I would say it's not that hard. It's just if you could just understand that everybody thinks the same and does the same things, and you can just do what other people don't do, you'll be on the other side of it. But if you're around people who are doing that, I mean, I don't know. People like betting on sports. Like, bro, if you don't got like money, you shouldn't even be betting on sports. Your best investment you should have some kind of business where, I'd rather bet on my business. I can go get $2,000, $3,000 that way rather than put on a sports game. I'll go bet on sports when I have money to blow. But like, if you don't have money, like get in business, get in a vehicle where you can actually invest the money, invest it, not really bet, invest the money and actually get a real ROI that is infinite, right? Because when you put money into your business, I mean, you might not even see it for a year, 2 years till just boom. It's a snowball effect. You just keep putting money, energy, effort, and time into your business. It's the best investment. It's not that hard to make 10K a month. If you can at least get there, you can start saving money. But then you got to do the math. 10K, depends what you got going on. I don't know, 4K to live. I don't know. Depends what you got going on. If you save $6,000 every month, it's only $72,000 at the end of the year. If you're actually disciplined. Disciplined. But then you got to pay taxes and you're not keeping the 72. So then boom, you immediately realize this is going to take a long time. I should just, increase my income. It's much harder. Everyone wants to save, right? How much is that? How much is this? We'll save the 100. No. Just increase your income. That can always override the expenses. You can always make more money.
100%. 100%. Yeah, because many people, I mean, it's this, there's so many rules to money, right? It's the reason why individuals can't bank that first 100K is because they're financially illiterate. They don't know the stable data to actually get them to bank that first 100,000. Some things I've learned from GC, my mentor, like the 40% rule, right? Storing away 40%, living on 20%. And obviously you got taxes about 40%, 30 to 40%. Not many people can actually truly do that. And then just breaking down that number, but also increasing your income. How do you go to increase your income? You got to be in the right vehicle. And as long as you're in the right vehicle, you can create $100,000 within a year. Easily. Solar. There's so many vehicles, solar, insurance, real estate. Man, I can't even tell you, dude, I'll work 4 different jobs if I have to bank whatever $100,000 if I needed to. But if you're in the right vehicle, What's the next step? It's increasing your skills, right? Becoming more knowledgeable. And as you said earlier, Alec, like doing what other people in your industry aren't doing. For me, it was like, man, just massive amounts of activity, working harder than everyone else, differentiating myself in the marketplace. So you banking your first 100K, you really got to change your belief. Like, what is $100,000? What is it going to do for me? Is that even a lot of money? Like, you got to start asking yourself those right questions, like changing and shifting your belief. Because most of us, like myself, I was born in a middle class, family household, right? All of my family, like middle class, right? So those beliefs are like imprinted in us. They're ingrained within us for the first 18 years of our life, especially by the government as well, politics. Like they have a scheme out there to like dumb people down to think like $100,000 is even a lot of money when it's
Right.
really not. So you got to first change your belief system. Then you got to get in the right vehicle, right? Getting in the right vehicle. Then you got to increase your skill set. Then you got to be disciplined, as we're talking about right now. So many people, man, they can make the money, but can they actually hold on to it?
Yeah, it's
Right?
no, what were you gonna say?
No, that's it, man. I mean, we could go in this for days. We could create a whole course on this. We could go for hours on this topic, right? 40% rule, having like a money spending scale system. Like if it's not going to make you money or have a slight chance of making you money, why are you spending money on it?
Yep.
Right? Like
Yep.
how important is it to you to really bank $100,000 or to create financial freedom? Like it goes back to like the purpose, the why. Like,
Yep.
is it even important to you?
I think society just has it was real recently. I think it was UPS drivers. They got I don't know, like the base salary went up to like 250. And I know it's a joke, whatever. It's on Instagram, TikToks, but they have like UPS drivers pulling up in a Urus to deliver your packages. But it's like I think people really think that if you make 250, you can go buy a Urus. Like, I mean, yeah, you could, depending you lease it, tax write off, marketing, it grows the business. But I just think people got, they got it all wrong. And I think people have the wrong idea of like rich and wealthy. And like, I think it's, you're rich, whatever. When that's, at the end of the day, that shouldn't be your goal. It should be wealth. You should be working towards something where you can remove yourself and get time back, something you can scale and grow when you're not present. This kind of goes into, if you know why, right? If you have a long-term goal, you can understand that, okay, I'm a business owner. So as a business owner, you have to understand there's going to be many points you need to invest in your business. So then you immediately realize, if you have 100K, I'm broke, because if this money is for the business and I'm going to spend 20 here, 50 there, this event, pay for this, pay for that, that money's gone, which brings you back to the purpose of, I'm a business owner. I'm going to grow something. I'm going to scale something, and that'll keep you in the trenches, working, calling, pushing, banging, shoving, threading the needle, and just getting shit done every day, sun up to sundown, like on a mission. Like get on a mission, like get focused, get the right people around you. Because I mean, I started this this whole journey when I was like 20, right? And time goes by fast. It does. It does. So you got to get intentional. You got to get focused. If you can't get very intentional, it's not going to happen for you. There's too many distractions within a day, week, month, and a year that are going to derail you. Too many things. Personal relationships, holidays, family, friends. God forbid people get sick. Things happen. I just had a cousin in the ICU. Dropped what I'm doing. Boom, I'm not working for a week. Right? But luckily I was doing the right things. I can stop what I'm doing and I can go take care of what's important at that moment in time. Kind of said a lot, but man, you got to understand life happens. You got to stop doing just enough. When are you going to realize, everyone's out here doing just enough? Dangerous. That's dangerous. Not in a good way.
Average. It's a disease. It's very contagious. That,
It's
that talks about what we were speaking about earlier, like surroundings, your environment. It all plays a role in like banking your first 100,000, and also like how you feel about like that $100,000. Like I'm in I'm in Miami, you're around Miami. Like go to New York, Los Angeles. Like that $100,000, it's not going to get you too far. You want to stop working, right? And going from trading your time for money to being able to trade money for time, like you're going to need millions of dollars, right? So getting that long-term viewpoint and that long-term mindset is going to really truly help you bank that first $100,000, right? And then what happens when we bank that first $100,000? That's a very, very, very deep topic of like, where do I invest it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Do I put it back in my business, right? For me, right when I got $100,000, I'm like, dude, I got to get rid of this. Like, I do not want this sitting around. I'm gonna get bored. I'm gonna get comfortable. I'm gonna get complacent, and
Yeah.
man, that money is gonna get bored as well, and that money is gonna want to be spent. So I'm
Mhm.
like, dude, get this out of my bank account. I put it right into a real estate investment, 5 years ago, and that real estate investment just gives me a drip every single month, and it's
And
continually
you had to go
appreciating
back
the
to
value.
work. You didn't have the money
Yeah.
anymore. It's gone.
Yep. And that's that concept of like staying broke and going broke, being frugal, hustling like an immigrant. Though that's what's going to get you to that first 100,000, and then also the next 100,000. If you can bank $100,000, I guarantee you can bank $1,000,000. That $100,000, that's that first initial threshold.
It man,
It's that gate. It's that gateway that's going to open you up to many other possibilities. $1 million,
uh,
5 million, 10,
it,
quarter of 100 million.
what does it do for you? I think, dude, your
Mm.
belief, it just becomes real, and the fact that you're gonna be really financially successful just becomes a firm belief. Like you believe it, you know you're on the right track, and I mean that in itself is extremely powerful. The fact
Mhm.
that you had that belief, because I used to play around with, this might work. I'm kind of doing, I got some money, have a terrible day, then I'm like, da 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 da. But once your time has passed, you have the money, you're like, nah, dude, I'm doing this thing. I'm on the right track. Let me stay with. Let
Mhm.
me pour gas on this, and let me just lean into this. How far can I go? It's just
Mhm.
it's affirmation to I'm doing the right thing.
Wow. Security, right? Security, it's going to build your confidence. It's going to build like you said, your belief in like, man, I am doing the right thing. Like, wow, this is really possible, because many people, I'd say, I don't know what the statistics are, but man, I'd say like 90% of people don't even bank $100,000, right? They get the money that comes in, they got to flow it right back out towards monthly expenses, or they just spend it and put it back into the marketplace instead of having a strategic plan of like, man, I want to bank $100,000. I want to build that discipline. It takes so much discipline to actually hold on to your money instead of just push it right back into the marketplace. So like be disciplined to hold on to that money, and wow, like your belief, like you said, is just going to skyrocket. You're going to be like, man, this is really real, and now you're going to want to do it again and again and again and again.
And now
Right.
you're an example for others, which is big time. You're kind of
Mm-hmm.
they meet you, then they're like, damn, this is real. Like he did this, normal dude. I can do this too. And then boom, other people are bought into it, and they can take better care of their situation, which is a big thing. Kind of like passing the torch around, which is that's a big deal.
Yep.
Everyone should
Yep.
have money. All your friends should have money. I should be able to call someone, and if I needed 50K, you can give me 50K. Like those are the people you want around you.
Ooh,
You know,
power players.
I mean, dude, dude, I hear it a lot. It's you're always gonna have money problems. You want a $20 problem or a $20,000 problem or a $200,000 problem,
Yeah.
right? And that's just the thing. And there's people thinking I want a $2 million problem. I want to get to that point, but there's levels. Is my point. There's people who spend 100K a month and that's their expenses because their active income is, I don't know, $1 million a month, whatever they got going on. So you gotta think bigger. But that goes back to what I was saying. How you probably got to really, like, you hear it all the time, but you probably got to go solo, dolo, get rid of the people, and understand they're not going to help you get there, and that's okay. You probably got to meet new people.
Yep. It's some sacrifices are going to have to be made. Some removals are going to have to be made. 100%. I think about when I was going from where I was at, 9-to-5 job after 9-to-5 job, to moving towards banking that $100,000. Literally exactly what I did. Got rid of a bunch of people. I moved from one state to another, jumped into a new industry, the right vehicle. I increased my skill set, and I just maintained that discipline. Like, I'm not spending any money on anything other than myself and back into the business.
Yep.
Non-negotiable. If you're spending money on the weekends, going out to have fun, whatever it might be, like, it's going to be so much more difficult to reach that first $100,000.
Right.
And so what are people going to run into? There's so many barriers
We're gonna run into
and
that.
challenges that people are going to run into.
They're gonna run into, I had a good week and it's the weekend. But I mean, if you're only making so much money and then you get caught up in the weekend, I mean, just recently, you wake up, you're drinking, you wake up, it's like, dude, you got to start all over. I'm like, even recent, I was like, dude, I'm removing this. I hate this, dude. I feel like shit. I feel like I'm starting from zero again. I just had all this momentum, and you got to start over. But that's what happens over the weekend, because you make more money than your friends. Yeah, let's go out. Yeah, I'll spend it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I got it. But what happens is you're not saving the money. So if just over time, it's just boom, boom, boom. You don't have the money you anticipated on having 6-12 months down the road, because that's the thing. It's 6-12 months of sacrifice, and just balls to the wall and just focus, and your financial situation will improve.
Yep. One thing that's really helped me tremendously is really actively keeping track of all my expenses, what I'm spending money on, and being fully aware of it. Because sometimes people, like, we spend money, right? We spend money, we let it flow. We're making money, we feel great. We're spending money that makes us feel great as well. But sometimes we're not really fully aware of, like, man, how much money is actually going out?
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Like, when I'd put the big mistake, just because it doesn't make any sense. I put money on the car, then the car payment, then I had to get new tires, and then I'm cleaning. I'm like, okay, I think the car cost me this much a month. But then I was sitting here, I was like, no, it actually cost me. I was like, no, I'm spending a lot more on that car than I even realized till I sat down and looked. And I was like, damn, this is a liability for sure, after I made the mistake. But we all make mistakes. You gotta learn from them. But that's one of my most recent mistakes. No, but I just say that because if you buy a house, right? If you buy anything, there's just usually more costs associated with it than you anticipate, right? You buy the house, you gotta do the taxes, you gotta put the furniture in there, and then you're like, damn, this costs a lot more money than I thought. I thought I put the money down on the house, that's it. But then there's boom, 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 bunch more expenses for you.
Man, we could go, like I said, we could go on for days with this. But I mean, some of the main things, like we said, like changing your belief system, really understanding $100,000, where is it going to take me, asking yourself the right questions, getting in the right vehicle, increasing your skills, staying broke, staying frugal, going broke,
I want to
getting around the right people, on
that point. The people's key. The people is everything. No, yeah, it's super key. Even
right. Like, what are we listening to? Right. What are we listening to? And who are we listening to? What advice are we taking? What advice are we believing in?
What are you thinking about?
Yeah.
No, that's a good question. You know, what are you thinking about, dude? Your thoughts. Wow. If you stop in a moment, you're like, what am I thinking about? Because usually, you know, as humans, we kind of go to the negative, the self doubt. But I want to pivot back to you're talking about being frugal, but I want to make it very clear, like, if you're making 4K a month, you don't need to be frugal. You need to realize you're in the wrong vehicle, dude. You're making 40K a year. You have no shot at banking 100K. So you don't need to go out and go frugal. That's the wrong direction. You need to go up, you know, because you're talking about being frugal. You're talking about being frugal when you're making 40K like a month. That's a different story. That's completely different than if you're making 40K a year. So first thing, I mean, you gotta understand where you're at. Can you even save $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month?
Yep.
That'd be the first thing.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm thinking more in my terms, I guess, being frugal. But yeah, if you're only making like 5K a month, like you're in the wrong vehicle.
Save the whole 5K. Yeah, you could save the whole 5K. It's still.
So it's like, how do we increase our income, right? Because many people are focusing on the expense side of things. Whereas like your expenses, as we all know, it can only go so low. But you can always raise your income. You can always increase your revenue.
Want to know what's crazy? $15,000 a month, which is a good starting point. It's only $500 a day. It's $500 a day. For 28 days, you're at 14 grand, $500 a day. I mean, you break that into halves. I got to make 250 before 12, and then 250 after 12, and then you're on your way to making more income than, I don't know what the percentage was when you read it, but a lot more people. So you just got to get in the right vehicle, break it down, have a belief, have process, get good at what you said, skill up, and I mean, you'll be on your way. But I mean, it even goes back to what I said. You got to know why, though. You got to know why you're doing it. Why do you want the money? Why do you want the money? Do you want the money, or do you want other things? Do you want security, time, experiences? You got to know why, because it's not the money. Because the money's a tool, right? It's a tool. So you really gotta dial in on why, and I think it goes back to the people, but really removing things. Like if you're gonna start making 100K, like maybe you're not going out on the weekend. Like, is that the end of the world? I mean, hopefully that's not all that you live for, the weekend. So maybe you need to sacrifice that for a little bit. So that way you can start doing weekends and more desirable locations with better people who keep you growing, expanding. And hopefully you change and everyone wants to come on board and they want to kind of follow in your footsteps, do the same thing. But if not, that's just the way it goes. But if your friends are broke, you're definitely going to be broke, 100%. Yeah. You talked about it earlier, being lower middle class. Like, it's so normal when you grow up in it, but when you go back after being gone for an extended period of time, doing your thing, making money, and then you go back home, it's like, wow, I cannot believe this was normal to me. This is crazy. Like, I can't believe I lived like that. I can't believe I used to be here, do that. It just becomes so, beneath you. Like all the old activities, all the old friends, like I kind of sounds like fucked up, but it doesn't interest you because you're just on a different trajectory. So, and I guess
we really never know until we step away from it, right? It's like poor people don't know that they're poor because they're just surrounded by it.
They're in the picture frame. They can't see outside of it. You're in the picture. Wow. So you're stuck in it until you kind of remove yourself from the situation, and then you can kind of you get a new perspective is what it is. You get a new perspective on life.
Yeah. What holds a lot of people back, we'll kind of close it off here, what holds a lot of people back from really banking that first $100,000 is because I see it all the time. People are just trying to do things that they're passionate about, things that they like.
Yep.
I think passion is a bunch of BS. Like, dude, I'm going to do whatever I have to do and whatever it takes to actually bank 100,000, create millions of dollars.
Yep.
People are just stuck in like their own comfortability, right? They're in their little bubble and they're just comfortable with it. They don't want to change the way they think, the way they operate, maybe potentially their job. They don't want to jump into a new career, a new industry, even though that new career industry is going to help them create so much more income, maybe double, triple, maybe even 10 times their income that they're currently making. And they're just trapped, right? You get trapped into that comfortability. Super trapped. Like they're in a cage. They got the handcuffs on that the universe is implanting on people of like, man, like as long as you got enough money, you talked about it earlier, just enough. As long as you got enough money just to pay your bills, you're better off than many other people. You're better off than all those people in the third world country, right? And then you start comparing yourself to people that are barely making money, right? Like, how about just compare yourself to what your full potential is and what your full capabilities are?
Right.
And when you look deep inside, you're going to know that like you're operating well below what you can truly do.
Yeah, we're in America. We have way more resources. That's why it's kind of like, dude, if you're not making 100, dude, like, and you live in the United States of America, you got to figure it out. We're in America. The amount of resources, possibilities, opportunities. We're in America. Like, you have no business making 100K because you're leaving everyone around you short, right? All the people that you love, because it's like you said, talking about being selfish earlier, but you can't really give. You're still in your own world. You're still pressed for money. You're still kind of watching the 200. You feel the pain if you got to spend 250 on that, whatever. And that's kind of what I was going back to earlier. There's so many unforeseen events that are gonna occur because that's just how life goes. And it's just you gotta have a better relationship with money. More of a belief that you can make it. More of a belief to spend it on the right things. I've spent, recently, like going to Tennessee, Justin Brock, that was a little bit of money. The office was a little money. Getting a new apartment, new furniture, that's a little money. But I just have a good relationship with money, and I'm on that trajectory where, you can spend that money comfortably and put it towards growing the active income. And that's where it starts, right? Because that's what I hit on a little earlier. If you're making 5, if you're making 6K, if you're making 8K, all you got to do is do the math. How much can I keep? What would I keep at the end of 12 months? Pay taxes. Then you start doing, oh my God, it's going to take me 4 years to have 100K. If I keep doing it like this, and then you're going to realize something's got to change. It's probably like you said, the vehicle you're in, man, even coworkers, man, like when I was at a captive agency, had I stayed there, they promised me the world, but I'm happy I didn't stay there just because of the people. It was, big fish, small pond kind of thing. You could go there, make 80, 100, 120K, and you're just like, you're the man. But deep down, it's nowhere near your potential, nowhere near the level you should be playing at.
Yep. Great stuff, man.
It's got to be a responsibility, kind of like a calling to get your money right.
Yep. As you said earlier, brother, it's our mission. We got to be on a mission.
That's dude.
Yeah,
That's
good stuff, bro.
No, the mission thing. Dude, I said it to you before. Blessed is the man who wakes up early, and is too tired to whatever he dreams at. What's the saying? Do you know? I mentioned it to you because it's so true. Do you know what I was referring to?
I do not.
There's a Pat Bet-David book, but blessed is the man. Damn, I'm gonna find it for the next podcast. It was in Achieving the Impossible by Pat Bet-David. But no, having a mission, having purpose, like, dude, that's a blessing, bro. So many people walk around without purpose, without a mission. Like, just knowing what you want in life is a blessing.
Oh, let's go. Appreciate you jumping on, brother. We're
Yep.
going to continue this on 8 p.m. every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we appreciate all the viewers jumping in here, dropping some bombs with my boy Alec Aponte, talking about how to bank your first 100. Let's go. Let's go. Good deal.
Go ahead.